In the 1960s, television became the center of politics. Soon, image, pomp and circumstance, and public interaction became the main methods for winning an election. But in 2000, the system changed yet again. And in 2008, the internet will play a pivotal role in deciding who will become the next president of the United States. How have newspapers responded, the television media, or even politicians themselves? These are the questions we will answer in The New Medium of Politics. Newspapers were once the largest influence on politics, but lately that influence is being chipped away by the internet and television. I sat down recently with Frank Cherubino, a widely read and popular columnist of the Palm Beach Post. He's covered every Republican and Democratic convention since the 1980s.
In general, since the desktop computer came out in the mid-80s, circulation of newspapers throughout the country has gradually declined, and it's been kind of a steady decline. And a lot of that is because where there used to be a very few sources of information, there are now unlimited.
Do you think there's a limit to the usefulness of the internet?
People have to trust the information they're getting. Yeah. And if they're getting all their information from somebody who's essentially an entertainer and not somebody that really treats what they do as anything more than entertainment, then there's a downside.
We saw a shift during the Nixon era of away from the newspaper to television. Do you think that has occurred yet for the internet?
For the first time, news is driven by non-news people. You know, it's driven by people who in many cases are sitting just with a little laptop computer or something, and they're generating stuff, and it's pushing all these big news organizations to pay attention to something that they may not have paid attention to before.
One such large media corporation that hasn't fared well is C-SPAN, or the Cable Satellite Public Affairs Network. Now, while C-SPAN offers its viewers an insight into the political process and unbiased coverage, it lacks in the internet department. For its internet-savvy viewers, not being able to see a consistent schedule, nor being able to see much of its content online, will limit C-SPAN and cspan.org's effectiveness. Sources are not always verifiable on the internet. However, media organizations like C-SPAN offer content that is valid and reputable, both online and on the home television screen. With 2 years remaining until the next presidential election, cspan.org still has time to reform its internet component to become more relevant in these types of affairs. But the true power of the internet rests in the individual. There have been a flurry of new innovations over the past couple of years, and whether they be podcasting, blogging, or even financial transactions over the web, it all comes down to one simple hypothesis. Politics are now intertwined with the web. But to what extent do local politics get influenced by the internet? I sat down with Al Zaccaro, a politician of Florida who recently ran for the mayor of West Palm Beach. Although he lost the election, he offered some advice and some commentary on the influence of the internet.
I believe the internet has a very significant future in all politics at all levels. We would not have been as effective as the television medium because there is a whole segment of society, particularly in a local election, that does not have daily access to the internet, and in some cases does not have access to the internet at all.
National level, however, politics are now utilizing the internet as the central battlefield for the 2008 presidential election. John Edwards began this web revolution on December 27, 2006, when he addressed the country on YouTube.
Tomorrow morning from this place, I'll announce that I'm a candidate for President of the United States.
Not only is it cost effective, I mean, if you look at the cost of taking a 30-second TV ad in a network station, it's very expensive. But if you can get on the internet, if you can get sort of a viral video on YouTube or something like that, you've reached an awful lot of people for a very low cost, and you've reached people that are typically you want to reach.
I would ask you to forward this video to all your friends because I wanted you to hear first what it is I plan to do, because you're going to
Soon, other politicians jumped on board, and YouTube began an Election 08 section of its website. Facebook and MySpace, two social networking sites, created profiles for candidates. And now, America's youth is getting involved. The internet is also increasing political participation and awareness in our youth. Kelsey Newman, a 12th grader at the Alexander W. Dreyfus Junior School of the Arts in West Palm Beach, Florida, is actively involved in this web revolution.
I am very involved in YouTube, Facebook, MySpace, blogs, all sorts of online media such as that, because I really feel that it's helpful to young people today. It gives us a voice and allows us to impact our society in a positive way.
But how does Kelsey become involved in the political process?
I have actually created a group on Facebook that's dedicated to my preferred presidential candidate, and it's been very popular. I've gotten a lot of responses from other people. I have about 150,000 people who are now members of that group, and it's really great. There's a lot of discussion on the boards, and I think that it's really helping people to get a little bit more involved in the political process.
We will only witness the results of this web revolution when the election takes place in November of 2008. But with more than 500 days remaining until the votes are cast, how many more newspaper columnists will be forced to write for an online blog? How many television networks will reform their websites to ensure their ease of use? How many MySpace, YouTube, and Facebook accounts will be set up? While we may have answered why or how newspapers, the television media, and even the politicians themselves have reacted, the final question remains, to what extent?
When you watch the news on television or when you read the newspaper, you really can't counter anything that anyone else is saying right there. There's no forum for debate. But when you're online and you're using blogs or MySpace or Facebook or something like that, you can voice your own opinion.
People have lost faith in local government, and the presence of the internet will not restore that faith.
People are going to need information. People are going to need, somebody's going to have to provide those people information. And whether they get it from, from downtown Julie Brown or from a rapper or something, or whether they get it from a guy with a master's degree at a journalism school, they're going to seek information. So the important thing is to find the medium that people want to get their information.